Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down.
It has been long overdue to expose the truth that the Democrats and Republicans are sucking the life out of America's liberty and usurping our rights at every turn. Now is the time to seize our civil liberties and take back our individual rights. Here on Southern Liberty, we will expose it all. With his musket on his back, the Declaration of Independence in one hand, and the Constitution in the other, here's your host, Roderick Threets.
Happy Sunday, my fellow monarchist liberty defenders. Hopefully y'all have had a great weekend and you've done some fun things and not let the stresses of the world get to you. So I know personally I have enjoyed my weekend, what little bit of time it's been, you know. I had some time between Friday and today, besides being on a very crazy sleep schedule. You know, when you got churn laying all over you, and at different odd hours of the night, you know, you can't move, kind of deal. So you know, that's kind of where we're at with that. So it's been a wild and kind of off-schedule weekend, but that's a-okay, though. It's a-okay, though. But I've been thinking, right? And it's kind of a little bit deviated from, you know, our typical talk, per se. But I think it's something that's very important that I need to mention. And we're talking about one of the virtues of life. I would consider it one of the lifebloods, like the lifeblood of all the virtues, right? And it's forgiveness. What we do not do as humans enough is practice self-forgiveness. We don't talk about that part. But we'll talk about that part in a minute, because we got to get through what forgiveness is, right? And the reason I've been thinking about this, right, is the whole, you know, we're looking at the political space and all of the smears and lies that have hurt people, destroyed people's lives, destroyed families because of blatant lies, right? And these people have no remorse for what they do. No remorse whatsoever. None of these people. You know, they don't care who they hurt. They're of malicious spirits, right? They're all their actions are malicious, right? And all of their actions, everything they do is intended to hurt someone for their gain of virtue in the eyes of others, or some, at worst, financial gain, right? And I sit here, we look at the political space, right, for the last, God knows now, it'll be, let's just say 8 years, right? And how demonizing one particular group of people were in this country. And they had to have laws, or they had to over bastardize laws, right, to get their way with people they didn't like politically, ideologically. You know? But I want to talk about forgiveness, because this is a space we need to get to, right, as a people. And you know, I'll have my comment about that at the end, but I want to get through this, right? So we have to think about forgiveness, right, and what it actually is, right? And forgiveness, right, is about releasing anger and hurt. so that you can experience, so you can experience, what is possible for not only for yourself, but for others, if you make amends or amends is made, right? Now, let's not mistake forgiveness for condoning behavior of the offender or offenders in this case, right? But it actually means that we value our healing, our soul healing, right? Our mental healing more than we value the need to be right, even if we are at that point, right? Because we know the world, the way it works, it always comes back. When someone does wrong to you, it always comes back to them tenfold. That's just how the world works. I don't care what religion you believe, whatever you believe, but that is the way of the universe. You put bad into the universe, you will get that back tenfold. And those of you Christians know that is written in the Bible also, right? But that's just as a general rule, right? Treat others as you would like to be treated, right? This is why forgiveness is very, very, very important, right? Because when we forgive, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how shut off in your mind you are about forgiving people, right? Just think about the experience of freedom in that person or persons or groups of people do not hold, you don't hold an ill will towards those people in your heart anymore. Because without forgiveness, you can never start with peace within yourself, which leads to self-forgiveness, right? I mean, it's a liberating feeling to let go of any type of pain, right? Everybody's had that, for example, that splinter in their finger, and it hurt so bad, and you just couldn't get it. You just couldn't get it. And then you finally pull the splinter out about an hour later. You done dug into your finger at all cost, right? And you dug that splinter out, and you know how good it feels to pull that sucker out. That's how forgiveness should feel, right? When we forgive, we release that anger, right? That anger is like that splinter in your finger, right? And you just pull that splinter out, right? You pull that splinter out. And it is so liberating to be free from that pain. And it's the same thing as when you forgive people. Now, mind you, you can forgive. Let's make no mistake, people. You can forgive, but you don't have to forget. Because if you forgive and forget, you will repeat the same mistake again. Right? So you got to keep that in mind, right? And yes, people make mistakes all the time. You got to forgive them for, right? If they weren't of such a damaging recourse. If not, that's the word I'm looking for, is some people do things that may, hurt on a smaller scale, right? And yeah, you can forgive them for that, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? But it's when we get into this political space, right? And where are the gauges of this, right? As far as the forgiving people on a personal level, right? But when we get into the political realm, this is something we really need to exercise, right? But before we can go out forgiving people, we must we must practice self-forgiveness, right? And I came across something very interesting. When I was reading around, I read a couple books this weekend about forgiveness, and I came across this one individual. Her name is Nadir Naur. She was from Afghanistan until she was her family was disassociated when the Kingdom of Afghanistan went down, and they ended up moving to the UK. But she wrote down she has the 4 R's for self-forgiveness. Okay. The first R is responsibility. Accept what has happened and show your compassion. When I first read that, I looked at it as show my compassion. Compassion to what? Right? Because I was thinking, right? Because a lot of times when we've been hurt by someone or something or groups of people, we hold that resentment and we speak from resentment, right? We speak from that resentment towards them, right? And that's what I was thinking when I read that part. And I was like, and I had to go back and I had to pull myself out of my mind and I had to read it again. And I understood the premise that she was bringing across. Accept what has happened. Yes, you have hurt me, but show my compassion. I know that may or may not have been you. That probably is out of your character, right? I'll love you, but I'll love you from over here. Not in my circle, right? That's the compassion part, right? I love you as a human, right? Just not in my immediate circle, right? I don't want to outright drop kick you like Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat, right? I don't want to do that. Because then I won't be on the track of forgiving at all, right? I'll just love you from over here, from inside my circle, as I kick you out my circle or out of my realm, right? The second R, remorse. Use guilt and remorse as a gateway to positive behavior change. And this is one of the things that we don't do enough of, right? When we talk about forgiveness. How much of the situation that you warranted, right? How let me rephrase it something different. How long did you allow the behavior to continue until you got hurt, right? Did you say something the first time it happened to you? Right? Because 9 times out of 10, if you said something to someone immediately when the behavior started happening or the action started happening towards you, you wouldn't be at the part of forgiveness. You would be at you'd still have the respect for that person or persons, right? You'd still have that respect. If they continued, you knew to cut it off immediately. You wouldn't be blindsided by hurt, which would give you which would have you, give you a reason to forgive, right? But we have to channel on that guilt and say, okay, what part did I play in that, right? Even if it's something you don't think is viable, right? Because we have to think about the realm of life that we live in, right? Everything is gaslit. Everything is a match, right? Everything's a match away from being on fire, right? Even down to the political space, right? Now, I'll say, should you feel guilty for being a Republican or a conservative? No, you shouldn't be guilty of that, right? But understand that your positions, your policy positions, right, trigger people to act a certain way, right? We've seen that all through the political realm, right? That's not on you, right? That's on them, right? But I don't see the inverse, the inverse happening. I don't see my conservative friends or my Republican friends all flying off the handle, upset and screaming in the streets over a policy position, right? It's that other team. It's that liberal, that progressive, that Democrat team that does that, right? You're not liberal. Oh my God. Right? And they call you everything but a child of God, right? So don't be guilty, right? But you know what I'm saying? But you have to be apoplectic to the whole to the whole thing too, right? Because in order for them to be mad at you, you gotta be part of the equation, right? I'll let you think about that a second, right? The third R, restoration. Make amends with whomever you're forgiving, even if it's yourself. Make amends with whomever you're forgiven, even if it's yourself. I want to focus on the yourself part because, again, we're talking about self-forgiveness, right? You have to forgive yourself, right? You have to, extract yourself from the hatred and the anger you have in your heart, right? To even start beginning the healing process, right? As we're saying, the first R, responsibility, right? Accept what has happened, right? Because you can't take it back once the cat's out the bag, right? You can't take it back, right? And you're left holding the bag, right? And I see this difference, right? I see this difference between the two major political factions, right? Is that I see this whole one side of the political paradigm, they don't apologize, right? Make amends, right? They don't apologize, right? I know one side of the political paradigm, even though they might kick and scream and grunt like a bull and kick their feet, right? But they are not incapable of forgiving themselves and making apologies when they're wrong. And they seem to be a lot calmer and better people for that, right? Unlike the other team, it's like they never reconciled, right? They never reconciled, right? Which leads into the fourth R, renewal. Learn from the experience and grow as a person, right? The renewal. These people on the other side of the paradigm, they never achieved that renewal, right? And I know, and I can say this with 99% accuracy, that majority of my conservative friends, my right-leaning friends, right? Every time I talk to any of them, any of y'all have grown in some sort of way spiritually, soulfully, right? Or even in your physical life, you have grown because you have learned, right? You have learned to make amends even with yourself so you can be renewed and go move on forward with life. You're not stuck in this loop of anger and frustration and all of that going on, right? These other people ain't got past step 3. They can't even get to step 3 yet of restoration, because they're still stuck trying to be remorseful for the things they've done, right? I really, right? A lot of these people are not forgivingly fit, to be honest, right? I'm going to call a spade, right? A lot of these people are forgivingly unfit, right? Because remember, right? If you're going to practice forgiveness, right, it helps you have, a positive change in your inner circle, your inner world, right? Just as you would start, let's say, a new physical exercise, or you start meditating, right? It's not something you can sit down and say, okay, I'm going to meditate for an hour today, right? You work at it. You meditate 3 minutes one day. Next day you do 4. Next day you do 5. You graduate. You just can't sit down and meditate for an hour, right? That's a skill, right? Being able to be fit enough spiritually, right, and mentally to be forgiving, you have to be able to practice the forgiveness, and you practice with yourself, right? You practice with yourself, because Lord knows we walk around with a lot of pain and hurt, right? As much as we don't want to admit it out loud, we walk around with a lot of pain and hurt. Especially nowadays, if you look, you've been alive the last 30 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The ups and downs and the government intrusion and, people coming in and out of our lives doing dastardly things. And, we've been through it. We've been through it as a people, right? One of the things, one of the steps, this is my opinion, to becoming more forgivingly fit, right, or strengthening that, is to commit to not doing any harm, right? Right? We have to get into a mode where we have to make a conscious effort not to talk disparagingly about others that have hurt us, right? And I know this is hard for a lot of us. I know, Lord God, I know for myself this is hard for me. This is hard for me because y'all have heard me. Those of you that have had phone calls with me, those of you that really know me intimately, you know. Right? You know the whole thing. It's hard when you've been, especially in the political sphere, when you've been beat down, you've been demonized, people have threatened bodily harm to you. It's hard to forgive people that will wish bodily harm upon you because you don't believe as they do. It's tough. It's tough to sit here and have especially political conversations with people that I know support people that want to do harm to me. It's hard to have those conversations. But I swallow my pride for the sake of conversation and exposure, and I do it. One of the biggest reasons I got behind the microphone was for this reason. it's really hard talking to people. I say it's even harder talking to people that don't understand that they're standing with people that want to do you harm. That's the hardest part. Right? These people will stand around and watch it fall down all around them. Oh, yeah, it's okay. No, it's not. That viaduct's about to hit you in your head. What you mean? Right? It's kind of like this video I saw on YouTube, how the girl had a knife or a stick or something, in her head, and the guy was gonna try to come in and help. Hey, let me move that knife out of your head. You said you got a headache, but you got a knife in your head, right? That's what I see when I talk to these people that support people that want to hurt me. It's the knife in the head causing the headache, and they don't understand why they have the headache, but they continue on keeping the knife in their head because they do not know anything different. They will continue supporting the destruction of people that they so-called, quote unquote, have love for or they like, spite the headache that's being caused by the knife in the forehead. We're going to go to break real quick. When we come back, we'll finish this conversation on good old forgiveness. So get your little wine and crackers and run back. It's going to be a short one. We'll be back here on Chasing Life, Liberty, and Monarchy in 4.
To resume in person tomorrow. I'm Ann Carrick, Fox News. The default deadline, June 1st. Fox's Gernal Scott.
At a news conference before he left the G7 summit in Japan, the president maintained a pledge.
We will not default.
But does that mean he will turn to the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which allows him to bypass Congress to do it? The president says he believes he has the authority, but the question is,
could it be done and invoked in time that it would not be appealed and as a consequence past the date in question and still default on the debt?
A so-called productive phone call taking place on the president's flight home with the House Speaker. G7 leaders discussed Russia's invasion of Ukraine during their summit.
The U.S. announcement would be support the training of Ukrainian pilots in the American-made F-16 after months of denying Ukraine's urgent request. The additional weapons and effort by the U.S. to break the months-long stalemate in the war. Fox News has learned civilian casualties in Ukraine are much higher than previously reported. Since Russia launched its full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022, 42,000 Ukrainian civilians have been killed.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. President Zelensky compared the destruction in Ukraine to that of the host city Hiroshima at the end of World War II. New York City continues to deal with an influx of asylum seekers, not unlike border cities.
The numbers need to be clear. We received over 70,000 migrant asylum seekers in our city. 42,000 are still in our care. If this is properly handled at the border level, this issue can be resolved while we finally get Congress, particularly the Republican Party, to deal with a comprehensive immigration policy.
Mayor Eric Adams on CBS's Face the Nation with moderator Margaret Brennan. America's listening to Fox News. Immigration, asylum seekers, and humanitarian concerns continue to be a problem somewhat out of control. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez on CBS's Face the Nation.
Just in the last 2 months, the Coast Guard has processed 408 migrants on our coast. We've just last year in our public school system, we had over 14,000 new children, 10,000 of which came from, 4 countries of Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Haiti.
Florida Governor Republican Ron DeSantis recently signed a sweeping immigration bill, including requirements for some employers to use a federal E-Verify system to determine if workers are legally eligible to work in the U.S. Tragedy strikes soccer fans in El Salvador Saturday night.
Reports indicate the crush of people took place at a main access gate where fans were entering the stadium called the Monumental venue. Medics and bystanders described an avalanche of people who were trying to pass through the same area. As a result of the accident, play was suspended as authorities are investigating what started the crush of people. They promised to deliver a report on their findings.
Fox's Trey Yingst. A similar incident killed 135 people last year at a soccer stadium in Indonesia. A private space crew launched this afternoon from Kennedy Space Center in Florida, headed to the International Space Station.
3, 2, 1. Engines full power. And liftoff, Falcon 9. Go Axiom.
One Alpha.
Copy, 1 Alpha.
Together we expand what is possible in low Earth orbit. Ad Astra and Godspeed AX2.
The launch was the second for Axiom Space. The crew was launched using SpaceX facilities and equipment and is expected to be at the station for 8 days. Among the 4 astronauts is the first Saudi Arabian woman to go into space. I'm Ann Carrick, and this is Fox News.
Listen to this newscast ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Chasing Life, Liberty, and Monarchy. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me this good old evening. We're talking about forgiveness, and I won't keep it too much longer, but I want to skip to the good part, right? When we're dealing with forgiveness, right, we have to again address the suffering and the meaning of that suffering, right? That comes with that, right? Find meaning in the suffering, right? I know it sounds weird, like, Rod, that sounds weird. Why would I do that? Well, here's the thing, right? How can you forgive if you don't know exactly how it hurt you? Not just something that's been placed, that you've been taught, right? You say, oh yeah, I've been taught that. But why were you taught that, right? And that kind of goes into the meaning of the suffering. You were hurt. What's the meaning behind the suffering, right? Because when we suffer a great deal, it's important, to find the meaning in what we have endured, right? Because without seeing the meaning of the suffering, a person can lose their own sense of purpose, right? And it makes them malleable. It makes them potentially able to move their position, right? And it can lead to a hopelessness. It could lead to a despairing conclusion of such, right? As if you're going back to the age-old question, what is the meaning of life, right? Now, make no mistake, we don't look for suffering in order to grow or to find the good in someone else's bad actions or a bad actor's actions. But we try to use that suffering, right, to change us into a positive direction. Okay? Now, to find a meaning, of that suffering, right, does not take away from your pain. So don't conflate those, okay? And we start getting into that, right? And this is where the hopelessness come in, right? Because a lot of us have said, oh, you know what? It happened for a reason, right? I'll just make the best of it, right? That's not addressing, right, the suffering, right, because of the pain you're suffering, right? You got to address the wound, right, to recognize the injustice and the experience you just had to cause you to get to a point to forgive someone for their actions. Because if you don't, it'll all seem shallow and meaningless, and again, making you malleable as a person, right? We see all of this in the political space now, right? We had a bunch of people in this country that sat right here in your face and told you, right, we need to get rid of the unjabbed, right? The unjabbed are the pandemic in this country. The unjabbed are the ones that are running around killing people, right? The unjabbed are the super spreaders, right? Oh, the myocarditis it's always been there, but now it's highlighted because of the jab. Meanwhile, we got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, 25-year-old athletes falling flat on their damn face in sporting events. We got babies being born having heart attacks. And we listened to their bullshit for 3 years and running. 3 years and running. About how if you don't want to wear a mask, you don't want to go get the jab, you're a domestic terrorist. You can't come in here to eat unless you got a jab card. You can't get on public transit unless you got a jab card. You can't come to my house unless you have a mask on and have a jab card. All these excess deaths. That's what they're screaming about. All these excess deaths. Yes, unfortunately, people died. Sure did. Most of them died way before a jab was even created. And those numbers are very inflated themselves, but we're not here to talk about that. I'm here to set the stage. Right? Even down to the pro-life, pro-choice argument. Pro-lifers, quote unquote, right, are pro-forced birth, against women. Y'all are womenizers. Y'all are the patriarchy, right? Y'all are scum of the earth, right? And you notice once all the studies started coming out, I know y'all remember how y'all said Florida. They said Florida's a super spreader state. They don't do masks and they don't mandate the jab. And you look at the death rates, and the death rate is right in line with California's. And there was no mandatory jab or mandatory masking here. like make that make sense. But see, this is where the pro jab people, they breeze past this and a whole bunch of other stuff to maintain the narrative, right, that these people have told them is virtuous, right? It's like they're a bunch of programmed bots, like AI. They're the political AI. Let's call them the political AI, right? Because that's what they are. Here's the thing. Those same people that said all those things even went out and harmed and fought people over a jab, over a mask. Remember last year they wanted to be forgiven for that? Someone should have told us. No, we tried to tell you. But we was everything again but a child of God. Right? Now you want forgiveness. No. Forgiveness went out the window on a national scale way back in 2020. Out the window, gone. You do not the audacity to ask for forgiveness after you have denigrated your fellow man, your fellow United States national, because they were able to self-govern and make a decision for themselves. Now you want forgiveness from those same people? Now you want to join the in crowd? See, here's the thing. We can forgive, and I know it's hard for a lot of people to say. We can forgive. We can sure forgive these people, but this is one of those things, and this is going to be a test of strength, right? We don't forget. We will never forget. Just like we say on here, never again is never forget. Also, these people try to push us into literal medical Jim Crow, medical apartheid, right? Medical Nazism is what these people tried to push us into. Literally, in some states, it was like that. No, you don't we'll forgive you. We won't forget, and we'll make sure that we keep our distance from you since you all showed your hands. We will make sure we stay long ways away from you. We don't, even to the point, look, on a personal level, for me, I don't even communicate with those people. I can't. Because going back to what I said before, how can you sit there and try to be pal and buddy and talk to me in my face when you were supporting people that were trying to hurt me? Even down to the point they wanted to kill me. You supported that. That's like me supporting Ted Bundy. Or Tim Ridgway. Right? I don't support that. I don't support that. I never will. And I cannot hang around people that would have rather seen my demise, right? I can't hang around people that would have they would rather have seen my demise to get a president out of the Oval Office than to be a decent human being and say, okay, you made a decision. That's cool. We cool with that. There's no law. There's no mandate. I'm not going to press you to do something you should or shouldn't do. This is your consequence, either positive or negative. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, that's not what we got. That's not what we got. That's why I cannot be around or talk with people, right, that act like that. I can forgive you. Oh, yes, sir. I can forgive you 100%, but I will not forget. And that I won't forget until my eyes are shut in that pine box 6 feet under in a vault. Because guess what? I can hold a grudge for the rest of my life. And I can still forgive you because I'm free of that hurt. Because I know who you are. I know on the inside you will murder. You are a murderer for hire. Right? You are a murderer for hire. And you showed it, regardless if you don't believe it or not. Oh, well, it's no. You showed me you are a murderer for hire. You will sell your soul out to the highest bidder, federal government. Right? Even down to the point they set up phone lines for you to snitch on people. Come on now. You think I want to hang around people like that? You think my liberty defenders want to hang around people like that? I can't trust you. I can forgive you, but I can't trust you. No more. And that's and that's harsh to say about a whole group of people. But you know what? You are grown. These people are grown like I am. They can read like I read. Right? And you still made that decision. You still made that ethical decision to call people murderers because they wouldn't put on a mask or they wouldn't go get the jab. You called them murderers. You're murdering grandma. You're murdering grandpa. You're murdering the vulnerable. Knowing damn well them masks didn't block anything. CDC even told you they don't block Nathan, but y'all didn't read that part. You read the headline on CNN, huh? MSNBC, huh? CBS, huh? You read the headline on there and thought, oh, that's the gospel. When the so-called CDC the CDC says this, y'all forgot y'all breezed past that part, huh? I can forgive you, but I won't forget, and I will stay far away from you as possible, because to me, you are a murderer for hire. I mean, look, I grew up during the crack era, right? I had friends, personal story. I had friends that lost their parents to crack, shot and killed, or overdosed, died of HIV, AIDS, whatever. But there's one thing that was always prevalent. You could pay a crackhead, you can give a crackhead $1 to go kill somebody, and they will go do it for that crack rock. You want to know why the hood is so dangerous? Give a dope fiend $1 and tell them that you can get this $1, you can get this $20 for your next city. You go kill that person. They'll go over there and slice them, dice them, or shoot them up over that $20 bill. This is how I look at these people that pushed that nonsense and literally tried to shame and force people. That's how I look at them. They're the ones that will take the $20 to go do it. They're the ones that are saying $20 is just $20. Yeah, Y'all the ones that sell another man for $1. You'll sell another man for a large French fry, right? A hamburger and a fry. You will sell them out for a hamburger and a fry, huh? Is that how much you value life? But, you know, it's the same. These are the same people, right? That does not think that the baby in the womb is not being murdered. You heard what I said. These are the same people that do not think it's murder in the womb, huh? They'll sell your ass out for $20 damn in a crack rock, huh? And those of you that have lived in urban centers, especially New York, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Chicago's. You know what I'm talking about. Huh? Los Angeles. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They'll sell your ass out for $20 and take your shit. This is exactly what these type of people will do to you out here in these political streets. Right? They're the political crack fiends. Right? I'm going to change my little saying out. They're the political crack fiends on the political street corner waiting for their political pimp or political crack dealer to pull up and drop them a little baggie to go do something stupid. And this was right here. This last thing, this Rona thing was the stupidest thing the government ever dropped on them. And they all smoked the crack. All of them smoked it. And here they are out here. Oh, forgive me. Right? It's like that. The 12 steps to recovery. This is where they're at right there in the 12 steps of recovery right now. Nah, Ben, you stuck, bruh. There ain't nobody over here to apologize to. You can't apologize for trying to set up the murder of me. You can't apologize for trying to get me killed. You there's no apology for that. Right? In some states, attempted murder is still murder. If it's egregious enough. Y'all get what I'm putting down? Are y'all getting what I'm putting down right now? It's too late. See, the 12 steps of recovery. I think it's 12 steps. I think it's 12. The 12 steps to recovery does not apply to mental fortitude. It doesn't apply to someone consciously doing something because they were told to do so. Now, 12 steps don't apply. The 12 steps only apply to people that, they have an addiction. An addiction is uncontrollable. An addiction is uncontrollable unless you have uncontrollable lies, and that's even a bigger problem. Federal government. But anyway, I didn't say that part out loud. And for the people, I can't forget about the folks that were forced into this or they couldn't feed their families. I give them kudos in that regard, right? For doing what they had to do to take care of their family. Because you notice the people that were actually targeted was skilled laborers. I want y'all to think about that a second. They targeted mainly skilled labor. Skilled labor, like electricians, carpenters, teachers. Right? If you look at the whole view holistically, that's who they targeted. But a shout out to the people right? And look, especially the people that did it, there's a lesson to be learned. But it shouldn't be learned because all of us would do it instinctually, right? If it came down to my job making 100 grand a year, just arbitrary number, 100 grand a year, and I'm raising 2-3 kids on my own, right? 95% of people make the same decision. They would make the same decision. They would do it to make sure their kids were straight. Because after all, right? Look, from women folks' standpoint, after all, you made the sacrifice of your life to push that baby out of your womb, which could have killed you. You survived that, right? There's nothing else on this earth that means anything more than surviving that potential death. Right? To turn around and see those same children you birthed suffer. And the same thing for the men folk. You ain't trying to see your family suffer. Right? You're going to do what you got to do to make sure your family maintains and carries on. Even if that damn jab kills you, you're making sure your family is straight. Right? If we can't make those ultimate sacrifices for our families, right, then where are we? And I know, granted, there's minute cases of that, right? A lot of people were able to navigate to other places of employment during this time, which was a blessing also. But the ones that were forced into it, like, you did what you had to do. I don't knock you for that. I knock the people that forced you into that decision. Those are the people I want. I want all those people to hear me loud and clear about forcing people to do things they shouldn't have to or want to do because you coerced them, you lied to them. There's many people died through state-sponsored murder because of a lie. And here you all walking the streets telling a lie, forcing people to take a product that may or may not kill them. You get forgiveness for being ignorant, but remember, look, you don't get to be in my presence. I won't ever be around you ever in life again. I'll even go to the extent, if we happen to be in the same grocery store, I will turn down another damn aisle. People say that's petty. No, I mean what I mean and I say what I mean. Because I don't want you anywhere near my circle. You are dangerous. You are very dangerous. You are unstable. To think that people do not have enough know-how to make decisions for them, their own health decisions. But y'all still the same people that holler about, well, abortion is a legal right. They're the same people that says abortion is health care, right? Women's rights. I'm going to close with this. My liberty defenders. Forgive your political enemy, but don't forget. Swear for God or Allah or whomever, the flying spaghetti monster, whomever you praise. Never, never, never forget that these people tried to democide you. These people tried to democide you with no remorse. Forgive them, right? For they not know what they do. But you know to run the other damn way, you stay away from them at every cost. Because if they did it once, they are willing to do it again. But you first, in order to forgive them, you have to practice self-forgiveness. Remember the 4 R's: responsibility, remorse, restoration, and renewal. You must practice those first before you're able to forgive any other soul. Because if you can't forgive yourself, how can you have enough energy to forgive someone else? Please forgive them, y'all. Please forgive them. But you don't have to entertain them. You don't have to be in their presence. They made it clear, right? Here's the other thing, y'all. They made it clear, right? That they wanted no part of quote unquote the right wing or the self-reliant or the self-governed, right? They don't want no part of them. So make it possible for them. That's even a more reason why they've told you where the line in the sand is. You don't have to cross it. You don't have to, you know what they say, hand out the olive branch. No. Cut that olive branch. Right? And I know I got a carpenter that listens, Miss Helen. Hopefully she's on here live. Maybe not, but she'll listen to it later. But you get people like Miss Helen, you know, take the olive branch and build something out of it on her side of the line. Forget olive. Listen, the time for olive branches, the time to be compassionate in a way, to be accepting, is long gone. They've destroyed that discourse. They've destroyed it. Only thing they're arguing nowadays across social media is which wing of the bird has the most weight. See, here, us liberty defenders, we don't want to hear any of that noise. We don't want to hear any of that. We want to be left alone because we're self-reliant, we're self-governable. That's it. And we want to voluntarily participate in society when we feel like it, right? Because really deep down, liberty defenders, deep down, we are really voluntarist. We want to get to a point where we participate in society or government as we want to, right? We want to exercise our right when we feel like we need to exercise it, not when we're forced to exercise it. So forgive them, y'all. Forgive them for they not know what they do. Heal yourself over the hurt words. And some people have gone through traumatic things. You know. That's where we need to be. Forgive yourself, forgive them, and stay away. And stay with the people that support you and reinforce you. You stay with that crowd. Like our little group here on Torch of Liberty and Southern Liberty Radio Show, and the experience today with Miss Val and Southern Liberty Radio with Miss Kell and everybody that supports us and all that good stuff, right? This is where we start. We support each other at all cost. We don't need those others out there. People want to come into the fold? Yeah, great, fine. But we're not going out looking for people to bring into the, per se, the fold, right? We're not doing that. We're not going to look to convert other people of other beliefs into what we believe, because guess what, people? We have fought all of our life through the persecutions. We've fought through the adversities of, by God, thinking completely different of government. Why? Why do we feel that way? Because most of us has been afflicted or still currently being afflicted by the federal government. We have a completely different look about it. And we're not trying to hear none of their noise, because we know what they are capable of. And as long as these people go along with those same people, again, what's the motto? We can forgive, but we won't forget, and we will stay the hell away, because we know you're unstable and you are dangerous. I want to thank everybody for stopping by this evening. Make sure y'all come through. tomorrow night for What the Hell. It's going to be action-packed, people. Believe that. It's a Monday. Come on now. Make sure y'all stop by 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time to hear us run you down through the thing there. Until next time, y'all, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until then, life, love, liberty, and happiness. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Southern Liberty Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media. Subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.bpmg.us or leave a rating and review on iTunes. To catch all the latest from Roderick, you can follow him on social media at manofjustice007. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.